Welcome to 2025 Food for Health. We're glad that you're here. My name is Cheryl McWilliams. I am a wellness specialist here at Midcoast Parkview Health. Okay, what day is today? It's Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. So tonight we're going to deal with tacos, and we're going to start off with sort of a taco meat that you can use. And it's simple, although I will tell you that it did take longer to bake in my oven than the recipe calls for. So we're going to start off with, we're going to start off with tofu. So this is tofu that I opened. I poured the liquid off. I'm just going to squeeze any liquid that's left in there out. Plop it in. Squeeze the rest of it. Plop it in. And I need to grab a fork. So you can just smash it with a fork. If you have like a potato masher, that works as well. I just want to get it down into like smaller pieces. I'm not trying to make it creamy. So those of you who've been here before, you've seen us do kind of creamy things with tofu. This one isn't creamy. All right, so I just smashed it, kind of like you'd smash a potato, right? And then I'm going to add to that 2 cups of walnuts. So 2 cups of walnuts. Now I cheated and bought chopped walnuts. I normally don't buy chopped walnuts, but I did. So I'm just putting them in there chopped. If you have regular walnuts, you can just chop them. And then we're going to add some onion powder, a teaspoon of onion powder. A teaspoon of garlic powder. A teaspoon of cumin. Actually, half a teaspoon of cumin. Half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. That gives it sort of that smoky, meaty flavor. Teaspoon of oregano. Okay, it says 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne. If I put 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne, of my cayenne in here, it'd blow us all away. Cayenne is graded by BTUs. And this is one of the, I will be able to leave this to my children in my will. Like an 1/8 of a teaspoon in a pot of soup is more than enough. And I actually really appreciate things that have a little kick to it. So we're just going to use a smidgen. Tablespoon of nutritional yeast. I don't put oil in mine. 2 tablespoons of tamari. A tablespoon of maple syrup. It's like a witch's brew. And 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Sure.
What's the difference between tamari sauce and like soy sauce? Is there a difference? Or?
Yes, I like tamari better.
Tamari doesn't contain wheat,
Yeah.
whereas soy sauce does.
Yeah,
Oh.
It's a non-wheat product, soy based, but I like the taste better.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
Yeah, it's just,
It's beefier.
it's fuller.
Oh, you can't say beefy here, can I?
Yeah, you can. It's a fuller flavor and it's not quite as salty and acidic.
Well, okay.
And it's easier to get it organic than soy sauce. And I don't do anything soy unless it's organic. So thank you for bringing that up, because that tofu was organic tofu. I never do soy unless it's organic for lots of different reasons. One, it's extremely genetically modified, and they put glyphosate on it, and I really don't want that in my body or my family. So 100% in my house, if it's soy, it's organic. Yes, ma'am.
How about liquid aminos instead?
So I've never tried that. There's different kinds of liquid aminos. You could try it. I just haven't. Most of those you can use interchangeably. I do find that, like with Bragg's liquid aminos, that I have to use less of it because it does tend to be more salty to the taste. So when I use like Bragg's liquid aminos, I will start off with half of whatever the recipe calls for and adjust from there.
You'll find out tonight.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight. There's a host of reasons why I don't do the oil. And that is a fantastic question that we're just going to postpone for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to place this on a cookie sheet with, I've just stirred it up, with parchment paper underneath. And I'm going to just kind of spread it out. And I don't want to pat it down, like I'm not trying to make a paste. I'm making crumbles, right? So I'm just going to spread it out on the pan. And the thinner I spread it out, the faster it will cook. Obviously, I made more when I made it for you guys, so it was a little bit thicker, and that's probably why it, took a little bit longer. And then I'm just going to place this in the oven, and it's going to bake 350 for half an hour or so. It said to turn it in 15 minutes. I didn't. I turned it in half an hour. I just took my flipper, went around and flipped it. Flipped the whole thing. And it cooked right down, and it made crumbles that you're going to have in your tacos tonight, okay? So I would put that right in the oven. So that is our taco meat, and while that's cooking, we're going to make our beans. So for the beans, we're going to chop an onion. Now for me, if a little onion is good, a lot of onion is better. That's just how I roll. And the same with garlic. If a little garlic is good, a whole lot of garlic is better. So I tend to go pretty heavy on the onion and the garlic, and I left the garlic sitting on my kitchen counter, so you'll just have to imagine the garlic. In fact, I even bought garlic for you guys tonight because we grow garlic in our garden. And I have to say, our garlic this year was really ugly, like really ugly garlic. It tastes good, but it's not very pretty. And I thought, I probably don't want to take them ugly garlic. So we've got our onion. I'm going to not use the olive oil. If I had garlic, I would do that. I am going to use just a smidgen of water to saute that onion. Now, for those of you who've been here before, you know that I always saute my onion in what? Water. What else? Salt. Why do I do it in salt? That's right, because it will help the flavor of that onion, the sweetness of that onion to come out. Also, I can get away with using less salt because the tongue tastes the salt on the surface of the food. So if I add salt, say, to a pot of soup or, whatever, I'm trying to salt that entire pot. Versus if I saute my onions in salt, then those little onion pieces get good and salty and they permeate the food. So I usually use, on average, at least a third, sometimes half the salt, because I'm salting these onion pieces. And I'm not going to bore you to tears while I wait here and wait for this to cook. But I'm just going to saute that down until it's translucent. In the meantime, I'm going to add my flavoring. Again, it calls for 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. I'm going to use a pinch. I actually have a measuring spoon in my kitchen, which I should have brought. It measures a pinch.
I
Yes.
tripped over something in Dr. Greger said last week. I found it in his book about salt. And he's telling us that we should be using iodized salt to get away from all these other salts that we're able to buy, sea salt and all that stuff, because we're not getting the iodine in it that we need. And I haven't heard that before.
Do you want to address that, or you want me?
Sure. If you don't get enough iodine, you're at higher risk for thyroid disease. That's the issue. If you want to use a sea salt instead of iodized salt, fine. Just make sure you have a good source of iodine, like seaweed, and you can get it that way. But you do not want to have a diet deficient in iodine, because then you're going to be at higher risk for thyroid disease.
You mentioned another seed plant that's better than seaweed.
Right. There's several.
There's
Well, nori is a seaweed.
nori, dulse, any of those.
They have iodine in them.
They all have it. But if you're eating a wide variety of food from lots of different places, you're going to get iodine. If you are extremely rigid in your diet and you're not eating any other sources, you won't. My kids love seaweed. In fact, in their Christmas box was a couple little packages of seaweed because they like to eat it. But the other thing with salt is if you're using sea salt, you want to make sure that it's sourced, from as clean a source as possible, because our sea is not as clean as it used to be.
It'll have lots of plastic nanoparticles in
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to add in our beans. Now tonight I am cheating and I am using canned beans. I normally don't. I normally cook my own just from dried black beans because number one, it's cheaper. Number two, I get to control what's in it, right? But for the purposes of tonight, I did just use 2 cans. And you just warm that right up.
Is there a reason why you don't drain and rinse?
Yes, thank you. I did that before, and I forgot to tell you. So I already drained them and rinsed them. And I will tell you that for tonight, I did not rinse them, and I did not drain them as much as I normally would, because I made yours yesterday, which means that, it's going to get, I didn't want it to get too dried out, right? So that's our beans, and while those warm up, we are going to make our tahini sauce. Now this one's really fun. We're going to use a 1/2 cup of tahini. What is tahini? Okay, tahini is ground up sesame seeds. You can get it raw or you can get it roasted. I prefer it raw. It comes in like a peanut butter jar, and you will find it in the peanut butter section. And you use this in all sorts of Middle Eastern dishes, Asian dishes. You used it a lot in China when I lived there. We're going to use 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Now, in a recipe like this, I am going to squeeze the lemon myself. There are some recipes that I'll use the bottled lemon. This is not one of them. If I'm cooking it down, I might use the bottled lemon. If I'm in a rush for time and I really just cannot squeeze a lemon, otherwise I'm going to use fresh lemon. 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. A 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm forever grabbing the garlic thinking it's onion, or grabbing the onion thinking it's garlic, so I always have to double check. And then a 1/4 cup of water. And that's it. And I'm just going to whisk it or stir it up. When you first stir it, it kind of curdles because of that lemon juice, and you think, uh-oh, what is happening? But the more you stir it, it comes right down to a little sauce. And that's it. So we've got our sauce, and the next we're going to make pico de gallo. And someone, our professor friend, informed me that the proper way to spell that is with 2 L's. I got this recipe from a friend, and that's how I received it, so I continued it on, but the proper spelling has 2 L's. All right, we're going to use a 1/2 cup of chopped cilantro. Now when you chop it, make sure you keep those fingers down. And I use the stems. I know a lot of people actually de-stem it and they only use the leaves. Those stems are great. They have the full flavor, and I even like the little bit of crunch that they provide. I throw away the very ends. We're going to use some onion. Now, I actually would use more onion than this, but I only brought 1 onion with me tonight, so I kind of spread it around, but you get the idea. We would use the crushed garlic, if I had the crushed garlic, a tablespoon of lime juice, and we're going to skip the olive oil. Imagine that I just chopped up a tomato. And there you go. You stir it up and you come out with that. Okay? So, now what do? Ooh, we turn this off before it burns. Okay. So now we're going to put our taco together. This isn't the greatest pot for heating this, but I'm not finding our skillet. So we're going to heat up our pan. And we just want to warm this. You can warm it in a skillet. You can warm it up in the oven. I have yours warming up in the oven, except the oven somehow got turned off. So I hope it's warm. Once this is, so we're not cooking it, we're not crisping it, we're just warming it. It's easier to handle if you do that. These are corn tortillas, and just like with soy, I always do organic. With corn, I always do organic for the same reasons. Highly genetically modified, they use glyphosate on it, all right? So these are organic corn tortillas. Now, these sometimes, almost always in your local grocery stores like Hannaford and Shaw's, you'll find these in the freezer section. At Morning Glory, you'll find them when you first walk in the store on the left-hand side. There's a little cooler just past the fresh food section. They're not frozen. It's there with the rest of the tortillas and that sort of thing. But these are the organic ones, and I do find that these have a little bit of a stronger flavor than the regular ones that you get from the grocery store, and I prefer it. It's more authentic. When you are south of the border, they're making it fresh from corn, right? So I prefer it. All right, so you can hold it, but I cheat. We will have shredded some lettuce. We will have got our taco meat out of the oven. This is what it looks like. So we're going to put some beans, taco meat, and then we're going to do our pico de gallo. Drizzle our sauce. And there's your taco. All done. Okay. Super good, super fun. And you don't have to, you don't have to go through all of this. You can use leftovers. If you have leftover beans, let's say you made beans from a few nights ago, use your leftover beans. If you have salad that you didn't finish up, put the salad in there. You've got some rice that you didn't finish up, put some rice in there. You don't have to go through all of this, is my point. It's fun and it's tasty, but you don't have to. But I think a lot of Americans forget just how versatile tacos can be, and you can put all sorts of things in them, and they're really fun and simple. I cheat and use a taco holder, but you don't have to. You can do it in your hand and just lay them on a plate. You can make them in advance, stick them in the fridge, and warm them up in your oven. If you're having friends over, or you're having a Super Bowl party, or you're really excited about Ohio State, who I'm sure is going to win the next game. So any questions? All right, give us just a couple minutes here to get set up, and then you can come sample.
The other thing that you can do that's lots of fun is make your own tortillas. Very simple to do, and they're very healthy. You just take corn meal that has been treated, and you can buy it in bulk, or you can buy it in small packages, and you mix it basically 1-to-1 with water. If you want to put salt in it, you can, but you don't have to. There's no oil added traditionally to these. You just make a combination, a kind of a paste. You roll it into little balls, and you can get a tortilla press. You can throw that out too. What we use is just 2 pieces of wood, and you take that little ball and you put it there, and you can use a plastic bag that you get your groceries in, and you put one layer there, put the ball in the middle, put the other layer of plastic on top, and just push the 2 boards together. It comes out nice and flat. You want it about 1/8 of an inch thick or a little bit less. And then you can just put it in a cast iron pan on your stove and do it. What we do is we just put them on top of our wood stove on a burner, and it works beautifully that way. If you don't have a wood cook stove like we do, you can use it if you have a top loading stove. You can just put it on that cast iron top, and they come out beautiful. And once you've had your own made at home, you won't want to buy them any other way.
Mesa Harina.
Masa Harina is a great source. It's organic. You can buy it. It's rather expensive. You can buy it from Azure Standard, 50 pounds of masa for about $1.50 a pound, which is a lot better price. And I like better price. But
50 years ago, living in central Maine, that was not available. We used to have to drive to the model market down in Portland.
right. And when I was growing up, my dad made our own, had to treat it with lye and whatnot, and we made, he used wood ashes and made our own. I went up to my son's place. He has celiac disease, so it's gluten-free, and I showed him and his kids how to make it, and today his wife sent me a series of pictures of all 4 of his kids, aged 9 to 2, making tortillas on top of their wood stove, and they were having a wonderful time. So it's fun to do, simple to do, and they're really tasty, fresh made. But these will be good too.